Hello children, this is your physics teacher Sharma and I welcome you all to today's class. Today we are going to discuss about a topic which is important. May not be important in terms of the score what you can get for your examination, but very important as a human being and a person who cares for their environment. And the name of the chapter is Source of Energy. Now, how do we define energy? We say energy is nothing but the capacity to do work, and any substance which can enable us to do some work, or it is being the initial point for some work to be done, is called source of energy. For example, sun is the source of solar energy. Okay, and you can take any fuel, coal, petroleum, diesel, kerosene. These all are sources of light and heat energy. So we are going to discuss about the source of energy, which actually comprises of 5 important topics. The first one, a good source of energy, in which we will be discussing about when do we call a source of energy as a good source of energy. Okay, what are the important factors which enable us to treat a source of energy as a reasonably good source of energy? Then we will discuss about conventional sources of energies. Conventional sources of energies are those which are being used from ancient times, that ever since science has taken a leap and bounds in development. Okay. Next we will be discussing about alternative sources of energies. We have some alternative sources apart from the conventional sources of energies. Conventional sources of energy include fossil fuels, hydroelectricity, thermal power plant, nuclear power plant, biomass. Other than these, do we have any other source of energy? Yes, we do have. We have windmills, we have solar plants, okay, and many other alternative sources of energy like geothermal energy, tidal energy. Okay, now those we'll be discussing in alternative sources of energy. Next, we have environmental consequences. What are the consequences we have to bear with if we are using conventional source of energy, and what if there are any advantages with using alternative sources of energies? That we'll be discussing in environmental consequences. Next, how long will the energy source last us? How long are these sources of energy going to take us through in life? Okay, like how long they are going to stay with us? Are they replenishable or non-replenishable? Is it that we are consuming more than or much faster than they can actually be reproduced or manufactured or made, synthesized by themselves? Okay, these are the topics which we have in the lesson. Now, coming to the first part, good source of energy. Imagine you have a vehicle, okay, and that vehicle will be consuming say 1 liter of a fuel to carry 4 people to a distance of 20 kilometers. Fine. Now assume another situation wherein you have a vehicle, it will need 5 liters of fuel, and that will take the same 4 members to a distance of 5 kilometers. In those two cases, A and B, what do we notice? We see that in the first case, the vehicle or that fuel is actually taking more number of people or same number of people through a larger distance. Okay, here we don't find fault with any vehicle, it is the different fuel we have used. Okay. Suppose there is a vehicle A, okay, which is using a fuel A, okay, a vehicle X using a fuel A is carrying 4 people for a distance of 20 kilometers for 1 liter. And there is another vehicle which is using fuel B, okay, and it is taking people from one place to another place across a distance of 5 kilometers per liter. So obviously what is happening, this vehicle B is not doing more work, it is doing little work for more volume. Okay, then we don't regard B as a good fuel, whereas A, which is doing more amount of work, okay, for little volume or the same volume taken, we take it as a good fuel. Okay, so a good fuel should satisfy the first condition, that is large work per unit volume. It should be doing more work or larger work per unit volume. Secondly, it should be easily accessible. Okay, now if it is a fuel station, it is very easily accessible. For every 1 kilometer or 1.5 kilometer, you have a petrol pump where you can get petrol, diesel, or sometimes CNG, whatever fuel you need. Okay, so it should be having that ease of access. Okay, it should be available easily. Okay, imagine there is a vehicle which runs with some fuel X or coal for that matter, and every time you are using that vehicle, you need some coal. Either you need to carry it with you, or you have to search for a place where they sell coal. However, this is not possible. Now we are not using coal anymore for transportation. Okay, this is a hypothetical situation I am saying. Okay, so it is an imaginary situation I am saying. So here what is happening? The coal is not easily accessible. It is definitely not as easily accessible as the petrol and diesel are. Okay, so a good fuel is one which is doing more amount of work per unit volume. At the same time, it is easily accessible. Now coming to the third one, the fuel should be easy to store and for transporting. Okay, now suppose I am riding my bike. Okay, I would actually keep an empty bottle, fill it with petrol, keep it in the bike, and I can go in case if my tank is emptied suddenly without any information in a shock notice, then I can use that fuel. So it is so easy to transport, isn't it? On the other hand, if the vehicle in itself is so difficult, we cannot store it in a bottle, it needs a huge insulated tank, okay, to preserve it, to store it, and it is very heavy, so I cannot transport it from one place to another place, then it is making no use. It is not making a good fuel. So good fuel is one which is easy to store and to transport. Okay, now what are the properties of a good fuel? First one, it should be doing more amount of work in little time or little volume. It should be easily accessible, and it should be easy to store and transport. Now coming to the most important thing. Even not now though, but earlier, maybe some 10 years ago or so, people always preferred diesel vehicles. The reason being, the cost of diesel is only 3/4 of the cost of petrol. Okay, so it is clearly understood the factor, the cost. Okay, the factor which is the cost of the fuel per unit volume is playing an important role. Now see, a good fuel should be having all the properties mentioned above. At the same time, it should also be economical. Okay, it should be coming with an economical cost. Okay, so this is the first topic for you in source of energy, wherein we have learned what are good sources of energy. What are the properties which a good source of energy should have, and we have learned them to be doing large amount of work per unit volume, easily accessible, easy to store and transport, and they should be economical. So this is for today's class, and we shall meet in the next class. Until then, have a nice time.